Would you pray with me, please? Loving God, we thank you that you brought us here tonight, and I pray that you may give us open ears, open minds, and open hearts to hear your word. I pray that the words of my mouth may be acceptable to you, through Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, good evening, and as soon as I said to people this week, oh, we've got a leather pride service on Sunday, their first question was, well, what are you wearing? Well,
all black.
Oh, I've got some leather shoes. It's a bit smelly, so I'll put my shoe back on. I have worn leather in the past and I quite enjoy it. I've always borrowed bits and pieces, so I thought, well, I'll go for a trip down Oxford Street and see what I can find. Well, how do they get away with charging that much for one pair of pants? I'm not sure about that. My credit card couldn't quite stretch that far, but I did get a bit of leather, and what's that? So you never know what I might be able to save up for next year. Quite, does that get me into the club? Mind-boggling. For those of us here, I was quite excited to buy that. Do you remember buying your first piece of leather, or were you fearful? And what about the first time you wore it in public? I mean, this you could get away with. I mean, half the young gay boys up Oxford Street seem to be wearing these sort of things, but something like Peter's wearing here, our model here this evening. Gorgeous. But, see, now I get indirect. See, now I get indirect with you.
Next year you're going to be
I need to know what you're saying. But seriously, fear is such a debilitating emotion. And when we are fearful, we can do many things. We can attack, we can run, we can hide, we can suffer. And the world puts a lot of fear upon us. Last Monday I was part of a panel show on TVS, which is Channel 1, the community station. And as a quick plug, it's on Tuesday night at 9:30 this week, for those of you who get it. It's analogue TV only, not digital, by the way. But we were talking about the end of the world. A pretty cheery topic. But backstage, there were a few of us, and we got talking about the topic, and then we started talking about fear. Would we want to tell people the end of the world was coming if we knew? What would people do? And what was interesting, we got talking about how fear is used in modern life to control people, to put people down, to ostracize people, to cut people off. And how often does our media put labels on people and put people into groups that make others fearful? And we do that within our own community as well. Think about the labels we put on people. Twinks, Queen, Puffs, Dykes, Leather Queens, Rice Queens, Asians, black, white. We make fun of what we don't really understand. And often we don't understand because of fear. It's a bit of a vicious cycle there. One result of this fear is that it can cause us to withdraw and to hide. And I can think that many of us have been through a coming out process where we have to overcome that fear so we can openly be who we are. But then again, many people can hide in the closet or hide their sexuality. They can look straight acting. I can look straight acting. Well, maybe. I could try. I tried once and failed, okay? And oh yes, but what really annoyed me was when I came out all those years ago and all nervous, and all my friends went, yeah, we knew years ago. Even my family said that, most of them. We knew years ago. I thought, well, you could have told me I was gay. It would have really helped. But it's true. It's true. However, So it can be easy to hide, but I think if you're part of a community such as the leather community, it can be harder to hide. You know, as Gary, you said to me when we were talking, it's like a second coming out. You know, no matter how much you fear, if you like wearing leather and are part of the leather community and you want to go out on Saturday night wearing leather, you can't hide that fact. You go out on Saturday night wearing leather and it's pretty obvious what community you belong to. It's the closest example I can think of that for myself is that I've done some work over the last 4 years with a drag queen. And let me tell you, walk down the street next to her and she can't hide what profession she is. Though sometimes she should. But too many stories there. But you still have to deal with the fear that others won't understand you. And what about love? Have you ever had the experience of having to tell a partner or someone you're getting to know well things about you that they didn't know about or couldn't really tell? Do we get afraid that they might be fearful of us and not love us? Well, the good news is that we have no problem with this with our Creator. As we heard in the reading today, God is love. We've probably heard that phrase over and over again in many different contexts, but the truth is that God is love, and this is love that gives us power to overcome fear. In that reading we heard, God is love. Those who go on living in love go on living in God, and God goes on living in them. In this way, love is being brought to full maturity among us, and will ensure that on the day of judgment we can stand with our heads held high. Because those who truly love have nothing to fear. Perfect love banishes fear. That's an amazing passage. It says to us that if we know the love of God, we can stand with our heads held high. It doesn't matter what people say about us. Love, perfect love, banishes fear. I love that line. Love banishes fear. It's so true, because if fear debilitates, then love liberates. And then it goes on. It is the thought of punishment that makes people fearful. And so those who are still fearful have still got some way to go before love is fully grown within them. What it's saying here is that so often we don't do something because we fear we might get into trouble. Or we fear what other people might think of us, or our life, or the choices and things that we do. But you know what happens then? We don't really do anything. So many people don't do things because of fear of punishment, be it mental or physical or passive-aggressive guilt. I think we're all guilty of this. I'm guilty of this. I know that. It seems so much easier to sit with something bottled up or unfulfilled rather than take the risk of coming out and doing it. Now, I didn't come out of the closet for 6 years because of this fear. It almost destroyed me. And you know what? Compared to being afraid of the potential punishment, the actual act of coming out wasn't as bad. It wasn't brilliant, and it was pretty awful at times, but much better than I had feared it would be. Because we shouldn't be afraid, because God does love us.